So I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of 222. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. If you haven't been here before, I want to welcome you here. And if you're watching the video version of this on YouTube, you can go ahead and click that subscribe bell. You can find us at 222. That's TWO, and then 22, the actual numbers. Anyway, so I want to thank you guys for coming back, watching this. And this month, I missed last month. Things have been a little hectic as usual around my place with multiple kids, with a business to run. Things just got a little out of hand. I'm going to adjust my seat a little. Just got out of a 14-day quarantine. I didn't have COVID. I was just unfortunately exposed to someone that did, and the local health department asked me to, keep everybody safe and to stay away from everybody. So I'm back. I'm kicking. I'm good. Ready to go. But I'm actually putting this not out on the 22nd. I wanted to hit on Juneteenth with this June 19. And for those of you out there that don't know what Juneteenth is, I'm going to share it with you. I had to look it up myself because I really didn't know. So basically what it is on June 19th, back in 1865, just a few years ago, Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Texas announcing the abolition of slavery in the last Confederate stronghold down in Texas. So the crazy thing is that the Emancipation Proclamation was actually spoken and signed on the New Year's Day of 1863, and it took over 2 years for it to get all the way down to Texas and to finally abolish slavery. I'm sure there was still some other stuff going on. We all know even up into the 1960s, there was segregation going on, and luckily there were people that stepped out and were bold enough, such as Rosa Parks and others that really fought for equality, based even just on the color of our skin. So now we're in 2020. We're all past that, right? Wrong again. So, not the first for me, but there's a lot of craziness going on right now, and it all stems around race. It stems around politics. It stems around a lot of different things. This is not what this vlog and this podcast are going to be about. I want to actually avoid that type of stuff. My goal today is to talk about being a voice for the voiceless, being one that will speak out for others when they can't speak, or if they're struggling to be able to find their voice, or they're not being noticed, and being able to help those folks out. So the other day, what kind of sparked all of this? Obviously, I knew this day was coming up, and I kind of wanted to talk about it in the first place. But then it was funny because I love being able to get into scripture, and each morning I just say, Lord, what do you want me to see today? And a few days ago, God brought me to Luke 8. It's not Corona. And it's not a joke, for real. Wear your mask and be safe out there. Anyway, Lord brought me to Luke 8. Now, if you are a Bible-believing Christian, you may already know a lot of this story. If not, I'm going to share it with you. So Jesus had gone in and he had talked about the parable of the seeds sown. And then he came back and he told the disciples, he said, look, he said, I want you guys to get in this boat with me, and I want you to go across this lake with me. So they obliged. Sorry, this is just Plexus stuff. It's not moonshine or anything, just because I'm drinking out of a mason jar. Anyhow, they get into this boat, right? So all the disciples get in there. Jesus gets there, and Jesus passes out. He falls asleep. He's tired from preaching the sermon or whatever, and he just wants to take a nap. And of course, I'm sure he knew what was coming, which was the wind and the waves were coming. And so everybody's freaking out in the boat. And so somebody's like, "Go wake up Jesus. Let's get him out here." And so he calls him out. He's like, "Where is your faith in this, man? You've seen what I could do, and I've told you guys what you can do. Why is this still a problem?" That's my words. That's not really what it says. I'm just trying to cut through this. But um so he goes out, raises his hand up, he calms everything down. Um like he always does. He knows how to calm a situation. So anyhow, they get to the other side of the lake, and that's where we're going to jump in. Starting in again, it's Luke 8. This is verse 27 and on through some other verse. I'll let you know when I get there. And when he came out onto the land, he was met by a man from the city who was possessed with demons and who had not put on any clothing for a long time and was not living in a house, but in the tombs. So this dude was naked, living in a tomb full of demons, like literal, actual demons. He was being possessed by them. Seeing Jesus, he cried out. The legion, well, the demons did out. And he fell before him and said in a loud voice, "What business do we have with each other, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, do not torment me." Jesus has never been to this place yet. You think that this guy knows who he is, but it's not. Again, it's not him. It's the demons in him that know exactly who Jesus is. And so he commanded the unclean spirits to come out of him. Uh, for it had seized him many times, and he was bound with chains and shackles and kept under guard, and yet he would still even break his bonds and be driven by the demons out into the desert. So man, this thing was just demolishing him. Um, and Jesus asked the demons, he said, "What is your name?" And he said, "Legion," for many demons had entered him. They were imploring him not to command them to go away into the abyss. Now there was a herd of many swine feeding there on the mountain, and the demons implored him to permit them to enter the swine. And he gave them permission. And the demons came out of the man and entered the swine, and then the herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and was drowned. When the herdsmen saw what had happened, they ran away and reported it in the city and out into the country. The people went out to see what had happened, and they came to Jesus and found the man from whom the demons had gone out sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind, and they became frightened. So they knew this guy. The townspeople and the herdsmen knew this guy and knew that he was out there, knew that he was naked, knew that he was chained up, bound up some form of fashion, and that he seemed a bit crazy. But when they saw him clothed and in his right mind, they were scared as well. So, anyway, those who had seen it reported to them how the man who was demon possessed had been made well, and all the people of the country of, I can't pronounce that country, and the surrounding district asked Jesus to leave them, for they were gripped with fear, and he got into a boat and returned. But the man from whom the demons had gone out was begging Jesus that he might accompany him. But he sent him away, saying, "Return to your house and describe what great things God has done for you." So he went away, proclaiming throughout the whole city what great things Jesus had done for him. So, pause. So there's two things that I see here that were kind of standing out different than the normal things that you see Jesus do. The first one, I was talking to a buddy of mine about this, is that, typically, like, Jesus wasn't one to be like, "Go back and tell everybody." Every once in a while he would do that, but he was typically just kind of quiet. He didn't want the attention. He was very humble about it. He just said, "Give God the glory," right? Um, but he told this dude to go back and tell everybody. Now I'm assuming it's because uh, you know, the people in that land didn't want him there. They were frightened by what Jesus did. They weren't actually excited about what Jesus had done, which is just kind of strange to me. I'd be kind of, I mean, I'd be weirded out if I saw something like that, but I'd also be excited to see to see the miracles that Jesus was doing. Anyway, that kind of brings me to the second point is that they didn't want him there. So that he decided to go back. Now, if you think back, is that Jesus knew, he's fully God, fully man. He knew that uh, he was going to go, he was going to get into the boat, and he was going to go over there, help this one guy out, and then leave. That to me is like a bold statement of who Jesus is, right? He was willing to get in a boat, go through the wind and the waves, even though you could control them, but he was willing to travel all the way over there just to help this one guy out. And I see today, people don't realize um, that Jesus is like that. You know, they look at the small percentage of Christians that are aren't the ones that should be representing Christ. They look at what's happened in the church. They look at hypocrisy that has happened in the church. So they don't know the true nature of Jesus, and they don't understand what a true relationship is with him. But Jesus went out of his way for this one person to heal him, and it also showed the disciples, that this is what you do, and it stands true for us today as Christ followers, as believers, is that we are to go out. And even if it's to help one person, we go and do it. How many times has God asked you to pick somebody up and take them where they need to go take somebody food, to go and pray with somebody? And we avoid the call because it might make us a little bit uncomfortable, and it might be as simple as walking across the lawn to your neighbor's house to pray with them or whatever, and we're worried about what somebody might think. Uh, Come on, what does that really matter? In all honesty, what is it going to hurt? Absolutely nothing. The worst somebody can say to you is that no, they don't want prayer. I mean, you can still go home and pray for them. They don't even have to know about it, right? Anyway, okay, so I want to talk a little bit about slavery. This dude, I look at it as somebody who was bound in chains, who was stuck. I mean, he wasn't in slavery to humans. He was in slavery to these demons, right? So he was stuck doing whatever these demons wanted him to do, taking him out into the desert and doing God knows what. There were other stories of the girl that was the fortune teller that was being possessed and giving these guys their fortune, and then I believe it was Paul, was walking around and like he just called the demon out of the girl, and then the guys were mad because then that girl couldn't give them their fortune anymore, and they didn't make money off of her. But anyway, so talking about slavery in today's terms, obviously we know that there still is, unfortunately, racism, but also in this world um, there's a lot of slavery. Estimates back in 2016, and obviously we're 4 years from that now. Back then, there was an estimate of 40.3 million people still being trafficked in slavery in this world. We need to be finding ways to go out and to stand up and fight for these people, just as Jesus would have. And I'm not saying go out and start a riot. I'm saying go out and find ways to get these people out of where they're trapped. Going in and helping the local authorities to be able to put the people that are enslaving them into prison, right? And then letting these people be free. These are kids. A lot of these people are kids that are being trafficked, being sold for pornography, for prostitution, for just so many things. And it's absolutely gut wrenching, disgusting to think about what is going on out there. I've worked in the past with an organization called Freedom Firm, where they go in to help out girls that have been stuck in sex trafficking, and they work again with the local authorities to get them rescued, get them out, and find ways to free them from the captivity that they're in. And even in the U.S., I mean, there's trafficking going on there as well, and it's sickening and scary and worrisome for our children. Not that we should be in fear, because God can watch over us. We just have to keep in prayer and keep asking Him to keep His hand on our children, and also be a parent. Be paying attention to where your kids are, know where they are. You don't have to be a helicopter parent. I've been there before, but just keep your eye out on your kids, man. Um, that's a little PSA. I won't charge you for that one. Um, Now, let's talk about the emotional side of everything. Sometimes we can feel enslaved, right? Um, Emotionally. Uh, I mean, sometimes even physically, but you might have whatever it might be that makes you feel outcast, that makes you feel different, that makes you feel less than somebody else, anybody else. We see, we get stuck into different social media, and we feel like we're not equal to the people that we see out there. Um, and we can even become enslaved in those thoughts. Um, to I don't even know how to say it. We can become trapped in what people think about us and become enslaved to those thoughts. But okay, going into all of this, like, we see the issues that are going on in the world. We see the mental problems. We see the physical problems. We see the issues. We see the racism. We see the judgment, um, the prejudice that's going on, um, and people want to look to people for the problem. And mind you, we make the choice to do this, but I think sin is really the root problem of all of this. And why I say that is because, from the beginning of time, we see jealousy, we see pride, we see all of that. Like, look back to the story of Cain and Abel, right? Cain killed Abel because he was jealous, because he thought Abel was better, and he was mad at him for the blessings that he was getting from God, when Abel was just doing what he was supposed to do, and following God and worshiping God, right? Um, but Cain just went out and just brutally murdered him. Obviously got called out for it and everything, but uh, it's been throughout all the ages, and you even see in the New Testament where people looked at people different because of where they were from, what color their skin was, all of these things. And Jesus came in to break this stuff down, right? He came in to love on them, to heal them, to show them what it's like to have life again. But we can only really do that if we get rid of the sin in our lives. If we repent and we walk hand in hand with God every single day, if we get into our word and start seeking out what God is really wanting, um, he can do God can do way more than just us posting on social media or marching or protesting. Um, God can do way more through prayer than any of those things can do. And I'm not downplaying those things. I've marched, I've stood up, I've vocalized my feelings. I use my Christianity to say, okay, who needs help? It's not about a political agenda. It's about helping people who are um, downtrodden, I believe is the word that The people that feel less than, I'm here for them, wanting to help them out. But anyway, God is bigger and can do even more than that. What we have to do is um, you know, fight using His strength and using prayer to talk to Him, to let Him come in to help stand up against the injustice in this world. Um, we have to remember that we're not fighting against flesh and blood. That's what I was saying. We're not fighting against man. We are. You see it in the world, but that's not really what the Bible says that we're really fighting against. In Ephesians 6, I'll turn there. Um, it says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood," meaning people, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. So this is a spiritual issue. We are fighting against the devil. We are fighting against demons that are trying to break up our people, our human race. The devil hates the human race because he knows that God loves us, right? And he sees God in us, and so that makes him even hate us even more. And so he's going to do everything in his power, which might be a limited power, but he still has power. He's going to do everything he can to destroy us and tear us apart and put division between us. But sometimes and I heard a video even on Facebook, sometimes we got to hit rock bottom to find out where our foundation is. And I think individually, and I think as a whole, as a society, that we're getting to that point that we're going to end up hitting a rock bottom where we realize, wait, all these things that are going on, all of these things, not everything is a big deal as we're making it out to be. That we need to pick and choose to stand up for what's really going on, what's really wrong, and not just going out and just doing it because somebody else is doing it. Fight for injustice. Fight for what is right. Not physically fight. I mean, like, stand up, be vocal. There's lots of ways to do it without having to like go out and riot. You know, and I understand people are angry. I get it, but we've got to find a way. Prayer again. Prayer. I might sound like a broken record, but prayer is going to be the number one way to get a start on this. To call out to God, to ask Him for help as to where to do, what to do, where to go. So I just want you guys to know that I'm here praying for you. I'm listening. I'm weeping with you. This everything that I see going on. I try not to look at social media. Try not to watch the news. But what I see just breaks my heart. Seeing people it goes both ways, guys. I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't think it was right. I don't think it's right for somebody to be killed over the color of their skin. But I also think that somebody shouldn't be injured, shot at, hurt, even spat upon because of the colors that they're wearing on their uniform. We've got to love one another, guys. That's the only way we are going to get through all of this. Again, stand up for what you believe. Stand up for the ones that need a voice. Stand up for ones that need rescued emotionally and physically. Anyway, I'm standing with you guys. I'm fighting for you, helping to be the voice if you need an extra voice. But mostly I'm praying for you guys. Thank you for watching. Check out all the information down below. If you have comments, questions, whatever, put it down below. I'll try to get to everything. I don't get many comments, but if you have opinions, throw them out there. Let's have a conversation about this. An open, honest conversation. I don't need hate. I don't need disrespect. I'm here to talk with you guys. Again, thanks for watching. Subscribe. We'll keep going with this. We'll keep fighting against injustice. We'll keep fighting against pornography. I want to make this world a better place to live in, so that me and my kids and my grandchildren that'll come in the future, and all of y'all can maybe have a better place to be. Thanks for watching. Bye.